In this demo, I'm going to show you how to use one of the 2J's floral stamps and one of the 2J's collage stamps with the Izink dye-based inks to create a beautiful background and a lovely watercoloured image to go on top really quickly and really simply. So to start with, I've taken a piece of white stamping card and I've cut this to 5 inches by 7 inches, and I've cut my main element here to 4 inches by 4 inches. So we're going to start with the background, and I've got an ink blending mat from Crafts2 here, and this is actually on my Crafts2 stamping mat because I'm going to be doing some freehand stamping, and I think it's very important to have some foam or something soft underneath. And I'm going to take 3 colours of the Izink dye ink. I'm going to use the wax, which is CIRE, Sir. I'm going to take the Aurore, which is Dawn, and the Vervine, which is Verbena. And I'm just going to simply put some little bits down randomly. That's what I love about the minis. You can really mix the colours in. And with the Izinks, you don't have to worry about contaminating them because the way they're designed, they don't pick up other colours of ink. So I'm just laying down the colour like that, very simply. And I'm just going to give that a squirt with water. This is just normal tap water. I'm going to take my piece of card and I'm simply going to dip it in and peel it back, and keep rotating that and moving the card round. That's got a lot of yellow, so I feel like I need a little bit more of the wax, which is more of an orangey colour. So we'll take some of that. We can see there, I'm just going to pick up a little bit more orangey colour until I've got a nice sort of watercoloury, marbly background. I'm going to pop that to one side. And we'll just give our mat a wipe over. These are water-based, the dye-based inks, so they won't stain or anything, and really easy to clean. And I'm going to bring in a piece here that I've got that's dry. It takes a couple of minutes to dry, to be honest. And what I'm going to do is I've taken one of the 2J stamps, and I believe this is the Spring collage stamp, and I love collage stamps because all the work's done for you. But you don't have to stick to just the design that's there. You can use a collage to build your own collage. So I'm going to use VersaFine in a smoke grey. If I use black, it's very, very intense in your face, and I don't really want it to be in my face. This is a background. So just give that a good ink, and then I'm going to randomly stamp this over my piece. So I'm just going to ink it back up, and I quite like these little lines down the side here. So I think we'll have those running down the side. That will extend it a little bit. Yeah. And then we'll give it another ink. And we'll just fill in now some of the gaps. You can see there, I'm just building it up randomly. And I get that beautiful collaged effect. But it's a different collage to the main image itself. So it's a really great way to use these stamps and get more out of them. So I'm just going to give my thing a little bit of a wipe. And as you can see, this time I've used VersaFine in grey. Now that's quite an oily ink, so I need to add a little bit of water just to get that off. So just be a little bit more careful when you're using your VersaFine. And what I want to do now is simply stamp the flowers. And I've chosen, I think this is the Camellia. So I've got a little piece of the white card, as I said, cut to 4 by 4. We're just going to pop my stamp onto that. And this time, because this is the foreground, I'm going to stamp this in Onyx Black VersaFine. So I'm using a black ink because I want this to come forward. So we're just going to give that a good ink and a good press down. It's quite a detailed stamp. It's based on a woodcut from a traditional source. So you may find that it needs to be inked and stamped twice, because there's quite a lot of detail, just to make sure you get all the detail in. That's what's so good about the Press to Impress stamp platform. It's exactly the same place. And there we go, we've got all of that detail now. So we'll move that away. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same 3 colours that I used on the background. So I'm just going to put some of the Dawn up here. I'm going to then take some of the wax, which is the more orangey colour, and then we'll put a little bit of the Verbena. And what I'm going to use is, I'm going to use a Crafts2 water brush, and this is the fine brush, which comes to a very fine point. So I'm going to take a little bit of water out, And then I'm just going to pick up some of the yellow and go over all of the flowers quite simply. So I'm not trying to sort of stay massively within the lines. I'm just trying to get all of the flower heads covered. So we'll do that and I'll come back in a second when I've coloured all of those. So you can see now I've coloured all of these in the yellow. So I'm going to take some of the orange and I'm just going to put that in the centre of each of these flowers. So just going in the centre and sort of almost scribbling round, but I'm picking up fresh ink each time so that we get that darker shade. So I'm not letting this water down. There we go. And then all I'm going to do is take some of this orangey colour and just go around the edges. So pick up some of the orange and just go around all of the edges until I've got all of those coloured and I've got all of those warm. So I'll do that and we'll come back in a second. All of these with the orange, and I just want to add a little bit of a darker element into the very centre to finish off. So I'm going to take this one, which is walnut, which is more of a brown, and I want to be very careful with this. So pick up a little bit and just go right into the centre. And if you can see there, as I pop into each individual flower, it really makes them pop. So you get that movement from the orange, from the sort of brown almost, to the orange, to the yellow at the edge. And you can just define the edge of some of the petals with a little bit of this walnut. Tend to go a little bit sort of just on the edges of the design. There we go. Just so that it defines it a little bit neater and gives us that nice little edge. So I could spend a little bit longer playing with that, but as it dries, it will settle down. So now I just need to do the leaves. So I'm going to pick up here, if you remember, I put the verbena green down. And you can see there, just by running that over, let's take a little bit more of that. And perhaps squeeze out a little bit more water. Let's take up some water. There we go. I'm going to get that lovely green colour showing through. I hope this comes through on camera. So just going into everywhere where there's a little leaf or a little bud. There we go. And to finish this off, I'm going to pick up all the colour, add a little bit more water that I've got up here of the sort of yellow and the green, a little bit of, and I'm just going to shade very quickly with that around the outside, very roughly. I'm not trying to follow the lines and be amazingly neat. I want to give it that sort of almost watercolour glow on the edges. So we'll just go around with those everywhere. Just colour in any spare space. And as that dries and settles, that will come beautifully to the fore. So we're just going to wipe that down. And then all I would do to finish this off is very, very simple. I would take the background that I've made and I'm just going to glue that onto a pre-done card blank that's 5.5 inches by 7.5 inches. It's actually cut with one of the New Crafts 2 nesting dies. And a perfect mat for it as well. And I've used black because I've got black in the main image of my design. So if I don't use the black, if you look here, that doesn't stand out. If I bring in a black square, how it ties that black in and matches. So we're going to just add a little bit of glue onto that. We'll pop that onto there. And I could then foam tape or glue that on. And what I'm going to do is think like an art gallery. If you think about an art gallery, when they have a painting, it's in the top third, 2/3 of the card. So it looks a bit strange to me there. So it's going on a nice even border all the way around on the top 2/3 of the card. And I could add a sentiment if I want to, or leave it as it stands, put a little sentiment on directly on. But a very simple watercolour technique, just using the Ice Ink die inks and the stamps.